I would say, for lack of a better term to describe it, a long day. We were up early today. We're up early every day, but even more so today because it was a great opportunity, really fantastic opportunity to go over and see some of the new faces, of course, the returning vets as well from Florida State's football team. The program is in real good place here. I'm going to continue to talk big picture. It's the off season. It's the time to do it. Spring football on the horizon, and we look forward to it. I think we look forward to it even more so after today. Just again, the infusion of talent and really at every position group, you've watched the transformation of a program. And as somebody who's been fortunate enough to document the changes over the years, where you go from a dynasty to some downtimes to a new coach comes in, then you build it back up and they win a national championship, and then that goes to pieces. Then a new coach comes in, that doesn't work out, that wanes, and you bring in a new coach, and really you kind of watch that process play out yet again. I realize it hits me, and these moments, these are the markers of time, right? These times of year, times within a program's history where you can say, oh, well, you know what? I remember there was a day one summer or a day one fall or a day one spring where I saw this or that, and I realized, oh, they're elevating or they're fading, whatever it might be. And in recent memory, obviously, in recent times, we've really been able to document the rise through the climb, if you will, of Mike Norvell, his staff, and what this program could be again and getting back to where it should be, right? And we've had to do it, and it's been a joy to do at a time where college football is shifting and changing all around us, and it's kind of hard to get a handle on it. But one thing's for certain, and it happened again this morning. Driving over, I was really excited to see the new, not just the new players from other programs that we've heard so much about, whether it's the grouping of Alabama players or it's, Marvin Jones Jr. You guys know Marvin Jones is my favorite player of all time in Florida State history. I couldn't wait to see what his son looked like today. And by the way, he's big. He's a big, strong guy. He looks like he has the requisite body type. We'll see how he plays when he gets into pads and what role he'll play. But it was a crisp, beautiful morning, and these guys are embracing work. I'll tell you, it sounds so cliche, and Ira joked afterwards in our post practice post tour of duty observation report, that everything is rainbows, everything is everybody smiles this time of year. But I really believe, Tom, as I welcome you in, good to talk to you as always, buddy. Good to see you. I really believe that this is what I was reflecting on today this morning, going back to about 2 years ago, where they needed to have a really good season. They needed to be better. And at the time, I remember thinking, well, I think they've got enough in the way of their starters that, knock on wood, if they're healthy and a few people take some steps forward, they got a chance to be a good team. And at that time, we were saying it was going to be really important that they win 9 or 10 games, and they did. They won 10 games. They went 10-3. Last year when we did this, you got excited for different reasons, but you thought, wow, they got so much veteran leadership, so much experience, so much talent with the starting 22. And again, it looked like there was an uptick in overall talent. You thought, well, who knows? I mean, I know you and I were kind of 11-1, 12-0 seems possible, right? And that's so the expectations were way up here. And this was one where today, Tom, I think I'm reminded of the standard, because here's the deal. The question is not, is Florida State going to be good? 2 years ago, it was, is Florida State going to be good? Florida State needs to be good. I was talking about Mike Norvell for the purposes of the long-term success of his tenure here at Florida State. It was paramount that they be good that season that they were, because had they not been, I thought he could not win recruiting battles. He could not continue to breathe life into the program, and things would begin to track negatively. But that was, again, the question, could they be good? Well, they turned out to be pretty good, and then they turned out to be even better than that. They turned out to be the following season undefeated. I think we're finally reached the place now where we don't have to ask the question, is Florida State good? Florida State's good. Florida State's really good. The question's now, when the standard is back to where it's supposed to be, it's never a matter of, is Florida State good? They are. The question is, are they great? Are they the best? Are they going to win the conference again and make their way into the playoff? That's how things have changed. That's where we've moved to. It's no longer this mystery. Do they have enough talent? Are they good enough to be considered a can't miss top 15 type team? That's what they are. That's what they are. Now it's just a matter of how good, how great. And that's really happened in a pretty short period of time. Everywhere you look, there is talent. Every segment group, Florida State, when you could be watching the defensive backs, running backs, defensive line, linebackers, certainly secondary as a whole. I mean, running backs, everywhere you look, you go, man, that guy may not have a lot of experience, but he looks the part. He's big, he's strong, he's long, he's fast, he's all these things, right? That's true in each and every segment group now. And it happened pretty quick. So bravo to them. I don't know that means they're going to go out and go undefeated and sustain the win streaks and all that from the regular season or not. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that goes into this, and we won't know a lot of those answers that we want to know. We're all in a hurry to know these things. But until they get in pads and they start really competing and start really practicing and we get to see them executing plays, today is just about how do guys look physically. And I'm reminded that in a short period of time, physically, Florida State is full on back to being good and having the requisite talent to win and win big.
Well, I'm thankful to Coach Norvell and the staff there for doing me a personal solid, because I think they were doing me a solid here by allowing video recordings of the practices. Last year, photos were allowed, and we got some of those as well. You can find those on warchant.com. We can find them on the message boards and our social media. There's one photo I put on our Warchant feed earlier today with TJ Ferguson, Richie Leonard running together, 640 pounds of mass running side by side. It's pretty cool to see. But the video, it gives you the sense of it, the depth of it, the intensity, the pace. And as somebody who's been to several of these tour of duties, including the one last year, and somebody who had some FOMO this morning that I was missing out on the tour of duty, thank you to everybody who said green light to the videos. Because, folks, if you have not seen it, wait till the end of the show. We're going to have some clips for you here in the interim during the show. But, man, Aslan got to shoot 45 straight minutes of the workout. So if you weren't there like me, you get to see it and be about it. And it's great because it's enough, that the quality of the footage is enough that I can compare what happened today to what I saw last year and the year before. And the thing I noticed right off the bat, you get into minute 10, 20, and 30, there's less huffing and puffing with these guys. I mean, they were in very good shape last year, don't get me wrong. But this group was ready for it. And Josh Storm said as much after the tour of duty workout was over, that of all the groups he's had, this was the one that was the most capable of dealing with whatever they threw at them. And I got to say, just from afar, a couple thousand miles away, from the video that I saw, they were able to handle this workout better than their predecessors. It's almost like the standard is known and it's passed around. And while nobody's perfect, you should be tired at the end of this. It's just that there were fewer breaks taken from what I could see, and that's a great sign.
Well, Mike, it sounds like Mike was it wasn't just hyperbole when he said that this was the best the group has looked in his time regarding the beginning of the tour of duty, right? Like how they hit the ground running and how much work they were able to do quickly. And I think there are a few reasons for that. You have a lot of key veterans at spots that have been through this before and can kind of lead the way. For the other players, the newcomers, you can help them adjust to the hectic nature of these things and sort of the drills themselves even. And then I think from there, you have guys that are really hungry. And in particular, I made this point in the wrap that Ira and I did. In particular, a lot of the new players, these are guys that have played, in some cases, a lot of football. And in some cases, these are guys that are extremely well thought of, that were heavily recruited, that you don't get to LSU or Georgia or Alabama, really any Power 5 program, without being sought after by many programs. So these were all guys that had the requisite physical tools, but they have not achieved, not all, and not many even, have achieved a ton at the college level yet. So even though they're names and they're well thought of, and they've come from programs that are the bedrock of big-time college football, they are guys that are hungry to make their impression, their mark on the game itself. And so I think that served as a shot in the shoulder. I feel like it's the perfect kind of chemistry there. You've got some guys that are veterans that come back and are excited about going ahead and taking the next step after having been screwed over by the committee. You've got veteran leadership at each position group. You've got guys that are coming from other programs looking to make a great impression and also win a job. So they're hungry, and that creates stiff competition. There's a sense of urgency that exists right now that I wondered about post snub, but I think the influx of those players helps you kind of move on from that a little bit easier. I will say that there were guys that I don't want to describe it this way because it makes it sound like they're malcontents. There were some veteran players on this team that showed me this morning, at least in terms of a commitment to fitness, that they took this offseason very seriously so far, and they come in ready to play. They've come in shape so that they can immediately have a chance to put their best foot forward. And those are some guys that haven't always done that. There's some guys on this roster that are veterans that kind of had to work their way to that place in past seasons. They were able to do it. They ended up being very significant contributors, but they weren't guys that when we saw them at the tour of duty or even early in spring football practice that were ready to go. I felt like today there were more veteran players who were, if tomorrow was the start of the season, were ready to play. And, the staff has done a good job. If you're watching it on the Warchant TV feed right now, you're seeing the aforementioned Hakeem Williams, who I've brought up a lot and I will continue to bring up because I think he's about to be a star. But if you go through and look at these guys, you can see what I mean. The enthusiasm for these drills and for the competition and the spirit surrounding these things, probably the best we've had yet. I really don't know that can be argued. I feel like there were so many players encouraging other players and coaches who were inciting these guys to be vocal, to be intense, to be excited, and everybody it kind of passed its way through the roster. And so good stuff, man. It again, I'm very aware that when you're watching conditioning drills, especially you're watching conditioning drills with very, very elite athletes, you're going to walk away from an area impressed. You're going to say, well, my God, that guy's big. He's strong. He can jump. He runs like the wind blows. This is impressive. But I know they're just workout drills. I know that's not football, but it's a part of football, and it's a step towards all that other stuff. And to do it and to attack it with enthusiasm and encouragement and focus and intensity, good sign. They got great culture, man. They got great culture. It's an overused phrase, but I think it's true here.
So we ran some footage there that'll appear on the channel tomorrow. Again, Aslan's got 45 minutes of footage. Ben Spicer, director Ben, took quite a bit of footage, and you got an advanced look at some of that stuff as more kind of close-up one-on-ones. You're right. The size on the defensive line, for example, is something that jumps out. You had some newcomers in there. You had Cam Davis, you had Cromanhawk, but then it gets to the line, and you see what Sione Lolohea looks like in person. We're number 13 today. You see what Durojaye looks like. He carries a lot of weight. He might need to lose a little bit, but he's a giant dude. Marvin Jones Jr. moving easy. That was one of the last clips. You could see why he's a 5-star prospect coming out of high school. He carries the weight so naturally. And I haven't even mentioned the main two guys in the middle that you were kind of alluding to, and Josh Farmer and Daryl Jackson. This is going to be a large, very large defensive line. And I think Patrick Payton's put on some significant weight as well.
Yeah.
This is a group, I know a lot of them were wearing white jerseys, so it's like that old Bama effect you talked about where the uniform makes you look larger. this is a really large defensive line. And the offensive line has gotten bigger as well. I mentioned that 640 pounds of SEC offensive linemen brought in from Alabama and Florida. These trench battles are not going to be for the faint of heart. When you're talking about being able to impose your will physically, it's not that last year's group wasn't able to do that. It most certainly was. I just didn't think we'd be able to replenish to a place without significant help from the portal, and we got it, to where you could say, man, this is going to be a tough group to go up against week for week. They did an exceptional job of replenishment. Now it's just a matter of getting up to speed, getting the chemistry and all those things that come with a spring camp and a fall camp. It's pretty exciting to see, though.
You mentioned speed, and I didn't really harp on that in terms of the observations just now in the opener. I did in some of the comments that I sent along to you that we've posted on the Renegade board there on warchant.com. If you're a gold member, you'll see I listed about 5 things, really more than that. I stuffed in more than just the 5, Tom. That's the kind of extra effort you're looking for. But one thing I said about that in that write-up was that they have brought in a lot of speed, and it is evident. You really see that they've got some guys that are very sudden and that can really fly. And I don't know, man. I have been maybe the ringleader of the people that are positive in thinking that this team is going to get even better on offense than they were a year ago. Nothing that I saw today would change my opinion there. Again, just in terms of the overall speed, the ability to stretch the field, guys who've done it in college games now too, who have been out there in college games. I'm not talking about a true freshman. I'm talking about guys that got on the field for LSU, that got on the field for Alabama. The kid who got on the field for Indiana and returned kicks and punts. They got to find a way to get him out there. I'm telling you, that kid is fast as hell. So they've got more speed and athleticism than they had a year ago and than they had the year before that. They just do. They continue to build up. That's what this is about. That's why, again, we get back to the standard. The question is no longer, is Florida State going to be good? Florida State is going to be good. Is Florida State going to be great? Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Tallahassee's biggest and baddest St. Patty's Day block party is at the Brass Tap in Midtown on Saturday, March 16th and Sunday, March 17th. And this year is our 10th anniversary. So that means more specials, more drinks, more music, more food, and more fun. Lucky shots, green beer, baby Guinness, corned beef, pretzels, sausages, chips, and no cover. Bring the whole family for Tallahassee's favorite St. Patty's Day party, March 16th and 17th only at the Brass Tap in Midtown.
I'm Greg Tisch here to share one of my favorite TCC stories. In the summer of 1966, Eugene Lamb wanted to stay in shape before leaving to play college basketball in Louisiana. So he jogged to Tallahassee from his home in Midway and helped lay the bricks for the first building on what's now the TCC campus on Appleyard Drive. Today, he is a longtime member of the TCC District Board of Trustees. It's no exaggeration when we say Trustee Lamb helped build TCC into what it is today.
TCC thanks our community for 58 years of support. We look forward to moving into the future together.
When I get home from, so I call Swain Pools and Spas to put my pool in the back. I call Swain Pools and Spas. Now I'm soaking up the fun when I want to.
Truckloads of new and used Caldera and Hot Spring Spas are available now at Swain Pools and Spas. Don't wait. Get to Swain Pools and browse the best inventory to find the spa of your dreams. These won't last long, so come see us today. Just look for the huge sign on Tharp Street or call 386-7113 for Swain Pools and Spas.
I know what you're thinking right now. Where can I find a place to get my car fixed and also check out some awesome new hot tubs and spas while I wait? Well, you're in luck. Because when you bring your car or truck in to get serviced at Tallahassee Car Care, it's under the same roof as Swain Pools and Spas for tires, brakes, batteries, tune-ups, oil changes, and all the service you need to get back on the road. Choose the certified technicians at Tallahassee Car Care. Drop by our shop on Tharp Street or visit online at TallahasseeCarCare.com.
Ready for a breath of fresh air this tax season? Well, breathe easy with E&B Heating and Air. Don't miss out on federal tax incentives for new AC systems and heat pumps. Take advantage of up to $2,000 in tax credits, plus additional savings from city and manufacturer rebates. E&B Heating and Air Conditioning has been serving Tallahassee and surrounding areas since 1974. Call us today for your free estimate at 850-575-9119 or visit us online at EMBHeatAndAir.com. That's EMBHeatAndAir.com. Indulge in the authentic Korean way of grilling right at your table at the all-new Chow One Korean Steakhouse in Tallahassee. All you can eat succulent beef, chicken, pork, and an amazing selection of fresh vegetables and homemade sauces crafted with all natural ingredients in a luxurious upscale dining environment. Chow One Korean Steakhouse. Experience the ultimate fusion of flavor and fun in Tallahassee. Enjoy happy hour from 4 to 7 daily. Located at 1107 Appalachia Parkway, just east of the Capitol Building.
Orthopedic pain and injury deserves effective treatment options now, so you feel better fast. Whether you have joint pain that won't subside or an urgent orthopedic injury, we are the specialists to get you back on your feet. And there's only one thing better than fast care: expert care. We believe you deserve both. TOC, only experts. Learn more at teamtoc.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to
morning, I saw Ira posted. We got this quote from Josh Storms after the tour of duty this morning. He said about Darrell Jackson, what that guy put on display today compared to what it looked like 365 days ago is pretty remarkable. You've got a guy who's 330 pounds, lean and strong. Some of the numbers he's put in the weight room this week have been really, really impressive. Yeah, like really quickly, you mentioned how big this group is up front for the starters especially. And to me, it looked like, and I said this, I think Josh Farmer and Darrell Jackson have made a pact to go get paid. And that's the way it should be. I mean, you're here to better yourself and to get better and to, put yourself in a position to go make a lot of money playing professionally. And, if we're being honest about those two guys, they've frustrated fans a little bit along the way. And I won't relitigate that. But one thing that we've never questioned about Josh Farmer is A, his ability to play, and B, his willingness to work hard to get bigger and stronger. And so that has happened every step of the way. And so I say about Farmer, he is now 314 pounds, and he's one of the strongest guys on the team. And Darrell Jackson, who last year I said to you, Tom, and told anybody that would listen, we were certainly thinking we were going to have his services before the NCAA screwed everybody over. But that was a guy I thought had a chance to be the best of the bunch because nobody looks like that. You're not supposed to be 335 pounds and be able to move that quickly and dominate reps and double teams when he felt like it. And so I just, now he's eligible. Now he can play. Now he has an opportunity to go out there. I thought it was very hard and really, quite frankly, unfair when he played in the bowl game. He's one of the few that did, but it was his first start of the year to get an opportunity to go out and play against Georgia when you're outmanned everywhere around you and nobody else is playing. It's not a fair or it's not an assessment that's indicative of the way he's going to play. So I think that this is a motivated kid who has a chance to go get paid, and he's got to have a great year, and he's next to a guy that can help him have a great year and vice versa. So I think we're going to be all right with those two. I'll just say that. They attacked the workout this morning. Both were in shape. Both were ready to go, and both showed really good leadership.
Yeah, I think what gets fun is when like the battle for on the defensive line is going to be reserve defensive tackle. Like, Grady Kelly's going to be in there. Some of the kids that are growing up and into upperclassmen, we'll see if maybe they dip in to grab another kid before it's all said and done, a graduate transfer, who knows. But defensive end is done. Like, it's all set. With what I saw today in terms of size, man, you're ready. You're ready. You know that Patrick Payton is twitchy. You know that Marvin Jones Jr. was recruited on being twitchy, but even if he's not the answer, you've got an all-conference player in Sione Lolohea that can give you the most reps. Duro Jaye is huge. And then, of course, if Marvin Jones gives you what the scouting services believed he would have been out of high school, man, you're loaded at defensive end. You're in a really good spot. That's to say nothing of maybe some of the younger guys they're trying to grow into the position or some specialists that they can bring into rush. But then beyond that, defensive tackle, your front two, you're elite, meaning your two starters. You're elite. Where do you go from there? How do you get to that next level? And we'll see what the battle is like for the second line of the two deep for defensive interior. I'm excited to see that. But I had an open question in my mind before looking at the players today next to some of the Florida State players that we know, size and speed. I got no more questions at defensive end. Now where we go from there, linebacker, they need to find more options. Secondary, they look loaded too. I mean, Charles Lester was part of that cut-up, that 4-minute cut-up. I talked to you about this on the phone this morning because I was watching the extended clip from Aslan. Man, it's just like A.Z. Thomas said. He doesn't look like a true freshman who's swimming and searching and just trying to get up to speed. He looks like he's in third or fourth gear going through these very, very difficult drills, and he looks thrilled to be doing them. That is really good to see.
It's really rare to be excitable and relaxed and I said that it seemed to me that Charles Lester III was having the time of his life. I mean, he was just smiling. He was happy with every passing rep. I cracked up. I mean, just watching him made me smile. He was excited to be out there. He was he's jumping around, encouraging people. He wasn't a goofball either. He took every rep very seriously, but afterwards he'd clap it up and encourage the next guy. But then he was eager to get on to the next, and ran down there. And Lord knows it tells me one thing, he's in really good shape because it didn't affect him. Like the drill would end and he just had to exert a lot of energy, and he turned right around and exert more energy and tell everybody else they needed to too. So it's again, it can get to where it's overkill when all you have to say is how positive everything looked. But I don't believe you need to make up something that's negative if it's not there. And, I don't know how good they're going to be at linebacker. I have serious questions about the linebacker group. But I also don't know that they won't be better because we haven't seen them practice in pads and hit anybody yet. So as far as the body types, you got a couple guys that I like. We'll see what Murphy becomes. And you got to have high hope for him, given that he was recruited to play linebacker at Alabama. So, there's reason for optimism there. Why would you not? I don't know if he's going to be good, but I suspect he won't suck. So, there are reasons to think that they're going to be better there too. Surely things will emerge. And on those days, we'll talk to you just as straightforward as we're talking to you now. Surely there will be problems. We'll see some bumps in the road. I don't know how there couldn't be when you're going to have an influx of this many new players on offense. You've got a new starting quarterback for starters. Like let's just start with that. And I don't know how quickly he will pick things up or how quickly he'll be ready to go. I assume that, listen, he's seen a lot of football and he's had an opportunity to learn a lot of football from two different stops along the way, this being his third. I got to imagine that he'll probably pick it up pretty quick. I think his football acumen is probably pretty high. But you also have those young receivers that I'm talking about, those transfer players that I'm talking about. You've got guys fighting for jobs. So there'll be hiccups along the way, but there's just, I think the overall emphasis we're trying to posit forward here today is that there's no lack of talent. There's no lack of speed. There's no lack of size. They're finally at a place now where the floor of what they can be is pretty damn high given the talent level.
Yeah, I think that's the fun part. You're right. It is a combine type day where you're looking at the basic measurables, but I think you could have a legitimate debate of what do you have more on this team, speed or power? Because Mike Norvell brought that up today in his presser. He said, the speed is where we need it to be. The power, you can see it. The numbers that they have in the weight room, like it's playing out the way that they thought it would play out. The reason I'm so bullish really quickly on defensive end is because you got guys at the Power 5 level that have accomplished before, and now they've arrived on campus. It's not like you've got a bunch of question marks. Like I would qualify Marvin Jones Jr. as more of a question mark than a proven player, but Lolo Haya is not a question mark. He's been proven. And Duro Jaya, I think, to a degree, has been proven as well. There are question marks at other positions. Like Malik Benson looks the part of elite speed, very springy athlete. Explosive. He was the number 1 JUCO player in the country, but he didn't ascend to a top 2 receiving position at Alabama last year, which is where all the targets went. So there's still work to be done there. Jalen Brown from LSU, you can catch him in the back of some of the clips. Number 6.
He impressed me today.
Holy cow, that speed. Holy cow. But that's only one piece of the puzzle. What I'm enamored by is in my head just about 2.5 months ago, when you're thinking about opt-outs and you're thinking about all the guys going to the draft, we're going to be smaller next year. No, we're not. We're not smaller. You see guys like Hakeem Williams, and you see the work that Kyle Morlock's put in the gym, that offensive line, Roydell Williams. We got a lot of, DJ himself, we got a lot of enforcer body types on this team at just about every position, and I love that. I want to be a bully, and I hope that that's what we become.
Yeah, you got the guys that could do it now. I do want to say that when I was talking about linebacker, I didn't mean to ignore a returner, and I do have hopes for Justin Cryer, Tom, and I thought he looked good out there today too, just in terms of overall body type. He's another guy that I want to make mention. I think they do. This will be – by the way, so we got a question there. Somebody asked about Blake Nicholson. Blake really runs well. He's still got to get bigger, guys. He's still got to get bigger. I need to listen. I want to put my eyes on him again. Let me put it this way. There were guys out there today that are players that were returning that looked appreciably bigger and stronger that caught my eye. And Blake didn't, he may be bigger, but he didn't catch my eye in the sense that I thought, oh, wow, okay, there it is. It wasn't that kind of a thing. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. Didn't mean he's not a lot bigger. I don't think, frankly, I was as focused on him as I usually am. One thing that stood out about him is the same thing that stands out about him all the time. That's why I didn't bring him up. He's a very good athlete. He can run. He can really run. And whenever you catch a moment of him running, you realize, yeah, he's got the requisite speed to cover. He's kind of been the opposite player for us that we've had, which is at that position. We've had plenty of guys that, that could handle the rigors of trying to stop the run, but couldn't cover. And they would get isolated in coverage. And really, frankly, neither starter last year covered all that well. That's not been a strength. Lundy doesn't cover well, for example, when he's in the game, but he surely can stop the run. Big, strong guy, as long as he's in the right gap. We've had plenty of those guys. And then Nicholson came along, and he was the opposite. He was the guy that you kind of thought was a glorified safety, right? Like a really big safety playing linebacker. He could really run and cover downfield and be there step for step with some of the faster players, but he looked very out of place against the run. So for him, he's got to make the opposite, step forward. He's got to get to where I can look at him and say, oh, that's a hoss who can stop the run if need be.
I know that you and Ira talked about this during the wrap, but much like a great episode of television, a series that you love, like you'll watch it a second time, especially if it's brand new. So you catch it Sunday night on HBO back in the day. You might watch it again on Monday. Like,
right.
Let's see that again. What did I miss? So in watching the 45 minutes on tape a second time today, KJ Kirkland got larger too, man. Because
he is already big, but yeah.
But when you brought up, hybrid safety linebacker types, and you're talking about Nicholson, I was like, oh yeah. Towards the end of that 45-minute clip, my man was running through some individual drills, and he doesn't look overweight. He just looks like maybe nearer to the box is much better for KJ Kirkland. I wonder what they're going to do with him, because that was very impressive to see the work that he's put in.
By the way, I'll tell you that the very first day we saw KJ Kirkland, I think you and I said, well, there's a linebacker. I mean, he's going to be a linebacker. He won't leave here without having played linebacker. Let's put it that way.
Sure, or what Jamie Robinson played. Something you got to be around the ball, not center field. You've got some guys that look more like Akeem Dent that can play center field for you. This dude looks more like I need to be around the ball like Shaheem Brown. Need to make some plays at the line of scrimmage, maybe come up, stop the run. They might not call him a linebacker, but he could very well play that. Yeah.
Coaches praised Shaheem Brown today after practice. Mike brought him up. I'm looking for him. This is big picture stuff. This isn't about today. Today's whatever. I liked it. It's fun. It's great to lay your eyes on some of the new faces. It's also great to watch people who buy in and transform their bodies and become something entirely different from one year to the next. That's all cool, but it's not the actual football, right? So when I'm talking about Shaheem Brown, I'm talking about actual football here. I'm ready for that guy to have a huge year. I mean, he's played so much football. He's made plays. He's been a guy that has games that you think, there it is. All right, here we go. And then he has games where you don't notice him. And I feel like because he's so physical and athletic, we should notice him more. He should change games a little bit more.
Well, it's going to be fascinating to see how they fill out the five. Your standard, you're going to be five guys out there a lot of the time, at the very least. And AZ is going to be one of your corners. And I don't mean, it's a pun intended, I guess, but like one of the cornerstones of the defense. We believe that Azaria Thomas is going to be one of those.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a star.
Fentrell Cypress doesn't get talked about anymore, but he's back and he's more than adequate. And then in the middle, you're counting on a Shaheem Brown to be that type of player. And then you fill out the roster from there. I will say again, on second watch, Earl Little is extremely explosive. I didn't expect to see somebody who could move that agilely, that quickly. It was very impressive.
I did. I had really high hopes for him. I remember his dad. I'm old as hell. I was ready to see that guy go out and kick ass, and he did. In fact, I was like, oh, well, yep, he's what I thought he was. He was like, there you go. He's going to be a stud. He oddly, for a guy that hasn't done it at the college level, between the pedigree that he has and then having been recruited to Alabama, I'm like, I'm not worried about him. He's going to come in and be great right away. I really believe that. He hasn't had to prove it to me. I've given him a hall pass. I'm like, you're good, man. You're going to be fine. I'm not worried about you. That's ridiculous on my part, but that's where my head's at with him. As soon as I saw him today, I went, yep, that's awesome. All right, on to somebody else. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Tallahassee police have roped off a house where police believe a woman died under suspicious circumstances. TPD.
Attention, Florida. Are you a victim of an auto accident? We introduce our live chat sponsor, Hyson Lika Law Firm, dedicated to representing injured clients statewide. If you've been in an accident, call Hyson Lika Law Firm at 813-803-0733 for a free consultation. Remember, there's no cost to you unless they win. Your interests come first with Hyson Lika Law Firm, the name you can trust for justice. Call 813-803-0733 now or visit HysonLikaLawFirm.com. Hyson Lika Law Firm, your advocate in times of need.
Project is $16 million. The transit center will sit in the corner of Orange Avenue and Meridian Street. The project should be complete by late 2025. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon. Daytime highs approaching 79. Winds out of the northeast around 5 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies again tonight. Lows level off around 56. Daytime highs approaching 79 tomorrow. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 77.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu. everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The pan con lechon, Jeff.
Is that what is the pork?
The pan con lechon, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center.
It kind of reminds me that people forget certain jokes of the show, or they only see snippets of me. Maybe they're not regular listeners. That's true if on social media, for example. So if I tweet something out that catches somebody's eye and they're not used to the joke, then they're thinking, well, where is this coming from? And I pointed out yesterday at Hauser was Dong Fest 2024, and it was that was surreal. Like, there were so many dongs yesterday that they lost their shock value. Like, you turn, you're like, oh, another dong. One after the other. Florida Gulf Coast took an ass beating for the ages. That was humiliating. Just every time they brought a new guy in, they were welcomed by a new and bigger dong. It was embarrassing. That was just, all right, it's your turn. And I was I was blown away. I thought that might be a relatively competitive game, but Florida State, now 11-0, is not having it. And go dive into those OPS numbers for this lineup and go look at all the other things that Florida State's doing really well. Connor Whitaker was tough, early on. He gives up two dongs of his own. And you're thinking, well, this isn't going to go well. But it speaks very highly of him that from there, he became virtually unhittable for a stretch after giving up those 2 home runs. I was, I know, look, midweek game against Florida Gulf Coast, who, by the way, took the series from you not too long ago here. We talk about measurements of improvement in areas where you've gotten better. I don't know that anything close to this translates into ACC play and is sustained. I'm not telling you that you can sustain hitting for this much power and do what they're doing. That doesn't stand to reason given the quality of pitching you're going to face at some point. But I do know that deep teams with deep lineups who make really good contact, hard contact, who don't strike out a lot, it does translate to being appreciably better than what this team was a year ago, no matter what. And I also know that good teams who do that tend to pummel teams who don't have a depth of pitching. And Florida State, when getting the opportunity to face these teams that when they're right, they should ordinarily beat. Baseball's a weird game. We know the worst team in baseball can beat the best team in baseball. A hell of a lot more in that sport than happens in football or basketball, just because a pitcher can control the day. And so, it just takes one guy to be painting the black one night and, a really powerful offense gets shut down. But short of that, this team's going to hit. They're just going to hit. And they got a lot of guys, too, by the way, who are chomping at the bit on the bench, who, when they get opportunities to play, are making very hard contact as well. That was more of the same for Florida State's offense. And again, above and beyond what you're accustomed to should ever expect in a competitive baseball game. That ass kicking there got it almost got loathsome after a while. I was like, oh my God, another home run. Are they going to get these outs requisite for us to go home? I mean, are we going to be able to go home? Or are they just going to keep scoring? Getting tired.
Good Lord, Lodi's hit. Oh man. Okay, guys. Okay, let's time. Yeah, this was what's fun about this offense is that they don't really need to reach back to make something happen. Like in the first inning, they only put one across. They had bases loaded, nobody out. And you're thinking, might that have been a moment that we look at 3 innings from now and say, really wish we had a score. We could have scored 2 or 3. It didn't matter. It didn't matter.
Yeah, it was an onslaught.
It's not scratching and clawing and fighting to put 4 on the board or 6 on the board. It just looks so easy right now. Now, teams will slump. Surely there is one coming. But the good thing is when your lineup is lengthened, maybe it's isolated to 2 or 3 players and you can hit around it, and certain things situationally you could push the envelope like they do on the base paths. They do take the extra base pretty well. Are they perfect there? No, by no stretch. But they're a hell of a lot better than they were 2 and 3 years ago when we were asking, do we ever work on running the bases? We're good for 2 errors a game, 3 wild pitches a game, 2 hit batsmen a game, and 2 bad decisions on the base pass. To say nothing of the things that they don't charge as errors because it's college baseball. That's where we were. They just play a much sharper brand at this point. And to your point, too, I think Whitaker got better as the game went along. I forget if it might have been the second inning. There was some hard hit contact for outs, but he got the outs. And then from there, he had some really good stuff. And I was very impressed. I stuck around to watch Hudson Rowan pitch because I know that the staff is in love with him. And man, it's rare that you see a lefty that's so vertical in his delivery. Like he really gets up there at a vertical delivery release point, and you could see that with his breaking ball. It's more 12-6. Usually lefties kind of go cross-body. That's a very interesting prospect. I think is going to work out for us because he's got a little bit of that what for to him too.
Yes, he's got some what for to him. You are exactly right. I can't believe what we're seeing right now from Cam Smith offensively. Jaime Ferrer has got it rolling again as well now with 5 RBIs, including the grand slam last night. Dingus is hitting exceptionally well. Just really up and down this lineup they're hitting. And they've scored double-digit runs. In the 11 games they've played, they've done that, I think it's 7 times. I looked at this morning. They just, every time you kind of look up, and there are moments, too, where you forget about guys. You're like, oh, yeah, well, Yelmez Ross is a really good leadoff hitter. Drew Farrow is having a really good year since coming up. I mean, just time and again, you see things that you think will play when we face the better competition in ACC play. And it's a long season, and there'll be times where you don't think that they're playing all that well. I just know that it's in there now, and it wasn't in there at all a year ago. There was nothing for them to find a year ago. They were going to be bad. They were just and it sucked that kind of early in ACC play you were like, oh, there's no other gear to reach back for. There's no magic potion. There isn't a guy they're not playing who, if they just started playing, it could change the fortunes of this group. Like that didn't exist a year ago. Now you're keeping people off the field who you think can play, but they're either too young or behind a guy that's hitting 420. So, what are you going to do?
I'm not overlooking this weekend series. You can learn something every weekend. It's New Orleans, but you could see some younger players get some run, get their confidence up, whatever it is. Baseball does this. It produces a situation you didn't expect, and you see how you react to it. That being said, next week with Florida and Notre Dame, I look so forward to what we're going to see there because Whitaker, okay, he had a rough first 3 pitches. That's when they scored their couple of runs. You bounce back, you look good. Now go do that down in Gainesville next week. And we're going to bring a brash attitude with us. You can tell that's kind of what this team is about. How's that going to be responded to? Because that's a pretty good ball club you're going to go see there in Gainesville. That is a huge test I look forward to seeing. And then they come back and they host Notre Dame and they get the ball rolling here on some conference play. They have passed their first tests with flying colors. Let's see what the next one looks like.
I have a segment that we could do, but I can't do it on terrestrial radio and the normal airwaves. It would be a bellying up segment involving a theory I have about the number of times guys have been shaken up because of shots to the man region or areas or thereabouts, things that haven't worked out. Just the kind of discomfort that can happen when we get hit below the belt. Not necessarily with the baseball, just in general. We have an excess number of guys who've had to take time to kind of gather themselves. And I really think to some extent, and again, we're not going to launch into the whole segment, it's one more indicator that you just need to slow your roll on the pants being as tight as they are. It's just, I'm tired of it, guys. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know how this happened. I don't know what kind of cultural shift occurred along the way that have you all so silly, chasing some dream of winning the award for the tightest pants on the team, one after the next, trying to prove to the other I can wear them tighter. I can be Steve Perry of Journey, late 70s, early 80s, jeans cutting me down the middle. I can do it, guys. I'm tired of it. There's no reason for it. It is off-putting, and it's leading to injury. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with us. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Attention, Florida. Are you a victim of an auto accident? We introduce our live chat sponsor, Hyson Leaka Law Firm, dedicated to representing injured clients statewide. If you've been in an accident, call Hyson Leaka Law Firm at 813-803-0733 for a free consultation. Remember, there's no cost to you unless they win. Your interests come first with Hyson Leaka Law Firm, the name you can trust for justice. Call 813-803-0733 now or visit HysonLeakaLawFirm.com. Hyson Leaka Law Firm, your advocate in times of need.
Heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism, and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout, resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Services, conferences to call away.
222-7722. AC and electric is what we do. Service, repairs, and installation too.
222-7722. Parker Services, conferences to call away.
Invest in a Peak Performance membership and you'll buy peace of mind in knowing that you're extending the life of your system and probably saving money on your power bill too. The program includes comprehensive tune-ups that keep your system running at its maximum efficiency. And Peak Performance members get many benefits, including priority service. Members jump to the front of the line when their comfort system fails. And a 15% discount on all parts. The Peak Performance membership pays for itself over and over again. Call today and have peace of mind. And Parker's is now offering electrical services too.
Parker Services, conferences to call away.
Florida license number CMC 050334.
Social Kitchen is now open on Cary Forest Parkway near Ology Northside, Tallahassee's only premier market where you can receive the famed Snake River Farm steaks and premier meats. Social Kitchen also has chef-prepared meals and sides ready to serve in just under 20 minutes. Perfect for those very busy springtime weeks, weekends, you name it. Hosting some people at the house. Hey, Social Kitchen also has build-your-own charcuterie boards and catering. Stop in and visit Social Kitchen today or visit us online at socialkitchentlh.com. SocialKitchenTLH.com.
Tallahassee is full of rich history and traditions. When you think of things that jump out in the minds of longtime residents, the state capitol, McClay Gardens, the Springtime Tallahassee Parade, FSU and FAMU Sports, the St. Mark's Lighthouse, St. George Island, and Paul's Termite and Pest Control. Paul's has been protecting thousands of people, their pets, their homes, and their lawns in the capital region for over 50 years. Locally founded and still locally owned and operated. There aren't many businesses in our industry that keep it together that long. Paul's Pest Control has many customers we've been honored to serve for over the last 50 years. We've experienced tremendous changes in how we treat homes and protect the people that live there. We've moved from liquid termite treatments that require drilling into the home's foundation to Centricon, a baiting system which works with their natural biology. We've moved from interior service to exterior treatments for general pests. But one thing we're not going to change is our old-fashioned commitment to personal service for each of our customers, the same way we've been doing it for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn too.
Call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat-screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
After a pair of road upsets, the Jacksonville Dolphins land in the Atlantic Sun semifinals today. They opened up the tournament with a first-round win at Kennesaw State, 92-86 as a 2.5-point underdog, and then upset Eastern Kentucky, the number 1 seed of the Atlantic Sun tournament, 67-65 as an 8.5-point dog. The Dolphins look to continue their Cinderella run through the Atlantic Sun tournament. They're a 6-point dog at Stetson today. The total 137 to the Edmunds Center in DeLand. Tampa Bay Lightning hosting the Calgary Flames today at Amalie Arena. Lightning $1.48 home ice favorite. Get your free VSiN subscription right now at VSIN.com. For more sports betting news and information, go to VSIN.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
Tax Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. This tax season, you get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a Samsung Galaxy A14 included when you buy an extended Silver Unlimited plan. So you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah!
Switch to Straight Talk for plans starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at straighttalk.com. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. Online only. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
KFC's new smashed potato bowl is out here looking like an absolute snack. For just $3.49, you get crispy secret recipe fries topped with creamy mashed potatoes, cheese sauce, bacon crumbles, and even more melty cheese. If you're looking to smash your hunger, grab KFC's new smashed potato bowl for just $3.49. For a little extra, add nuggets to the mix. It's finger-licking good. Prices and participation may vary. Tax and fees extra.
If you've been waiting for the perfect time to buy your new house, you'll be waiting forever. This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and I have been a mortgage lender for over 20 years. And I can tell you that there is no such thing as perfect timing. So take the first step towards your new home and let me show you what that really looks like. Chances are very high that you'll be very surprised at what I can help you do. When rates go low, prices go high, and that home that you've been eyeballing could be gone. If you're wondering how the drop in interest rates is going to affect your payment, give me a call. I'll be more than happy to show you all of the options available to get you into your new home. And for every single loan that we close for a fellow Knoll, I will personally donate $250 per closing to the Battle's End. Let's do this together and let's keep climbing. Call me today at 954-369-6171. That's 954-369-6171. Or you can find me online at loansforknolls.com. That's loansforknolls.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 373031.
Ugh, PB&J again. Moms, you've got a lot on your mind. Packing a lunch shouldn't be stressful. FreshFromFlorida.com can help. They have plenty of quick, delicious lunch and snack ideas to freshen up lunchtime. Simply look for the Fresh from Florida logo where you shop for locally grown in-season fruits and veggies to please even the pickiest eater. PB&J again. With Florida strawberries? Thanks, Mom. Packing lunches has never been easier. Fresh from Florida, there's sunshine in every bite.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4,
see practice observation notebooks and the like. You'll see plenty of video clips, 45 minutes of raw footage from the workout that Tom alluded to. You've got interviews from Norvell and Josh Storms. They addressed the assembled press after practice. Myself and Ira Schafel did a 5-minute wrap summary of we had literally wrapped summary of what we saw. And then, of course, a ton of clips. So stories, video, radio, you name it, we got it. Thoroughly covered today's tour of duty, and it was cool. I enjoyed it. They've come a long way from 2 and 3 years ago. That is for sure. There's talent everywhere. And I know that now you just got to see it, come through and take the big step. And guys, play at an elite level. But I think they've got a lot of options, so many more options. We were laughing about it today. We were talking about how, man, a year or so ago, you'd look at a group and you'd say, well, those two are really good. And if they stay healthy, they'll be really good. But if either one of those two get hurt, we've got problems. And then you'd go over here and you say, well, those three are all right, but man, I don't know. We lose any of those guys, we take a huge step back all of a sudden. Yeah, and you're not doing that as much anymore to me at all. It's really cool.
What sounds fun to me is the praise for Malik Benson. Mike Norvell took extra time to speak on Malik Benson and his attitude and the way he's gotten around the team, and Josh Storms did the same, saying that Malik's always in the facility and that he's giving to his teammates. You don't have to be a leader, even though you're old, but it's nice to see that a transfer has come in there and he's become indispensable. That's when you put that together with the athleticism that he brings to the table, it makes me very excited. It makes me want to root for that particular player to see how he does. From the film that we could see, from the things that you saw with your own eyes today at the tour of duty, Malik Benson looks the part. He looks to be somebody who would be classified as the #1 athlete in JUCO, going to Alabama a year ago. Like that part of it, you check the box. I'm excited to see how he integrates with the offense. If he can be one of the top 2 receivers, as he's penciled in to be right now, it's just when you have that total essence of being a good teammate, a member of the culture, a member of the roster, then you have an offensive version of a player like a Jared Verse who comes in as a transfer, but you could tell he moved the drills along. I was so glad to hear that today because the receiver position is one that needs a little bit more stability than others because of the turnover that there's been in the last offseason.
That's going to be a position where the competition is fierce. I think this may be the best crop. See, this is the thing I keep talking about. And when I get into the conversation about why I believe they'll be better on offense next year, there are plenty of guys that it is fair to say have to prove to you that they can do it in a game consistently within that group. That's a fair counter to my enthusiasm regarding it. But they have a greater depth of overall talent and speed and size at that position group than they've had at any other time in Norvell's tenure. There are so many guys that have a chance to be very, very good players before they leave here. I think there are a few that have a chance to be real stars before they leave here. I think, and again, I'm asked to give an opinion on a daily basis, and I've been giving this one for a while. Today led to further confirmation of my suspicions. I think Hakeem Williams is going to be a star. I think they've got a chance to kind of look at a group of, say, 4 to 5 dudes that make impacts week to week at wide receiver. They've got that. And, I didn't mention him one time in that first hour, and it's a disservice. I did mention him in my write-up. And I don't know, he's a guy that I would be skeptical of too, because goodness gracious, it became a joke. It became sort of we'd roll our eyes. But Tom, I am once again emboldened enough to say Jackson West is going to make a difference for this football team. And people can laugh. Jackson West was tough today, Tommy. That guy was in incredible shape. It's the best he has ever moved, ever. It's not even close. To the point, and I'll just say this, I won't name everybody, but those of us kind of intermingling there on the beat, people working for this side or that side or this place or that place or whatever it might be, we all at various points, independent, it was not groupthink, said, golly, Jackson West is looking out here looking good today. Look at old Jackson West. I heard some phrasing of that ilk several times where people kind of looked at it. I'm going to say it. I don't care what you think of me. Jackson West is out here looking good. Has anybody noticed the Jackson West? And then the next guy that I would go down the line, I'm sitting there watching practice with. Well, I tell you, that Jackson West kind of surprised me today. Then later on, I'd move to another part of the field. We're sitting there. It was always with great reluctance that the person bothered to present this, right? Including myself a couple of times, right? You know, it's just me or does Jackson West look good out here like he might do, and it happened. It seems universal. So, Tom, please let it be true because he's ill-tempered, mean-spirited. He's quick to punch guy, but damn it, he's got a cool name, and I like that he's edgy, and he's finally healthy. He moved with great fluidity. It looked like for the first time in his life, he was not robotic. He was smooth. He looked fast, and he cared. He led drills. He had the black jersey. He was doing it, Tom.
Well, I would like to see it in spring practice because you could tell the difference between the people that were there and the people that weren't because I'd like to see it in camp. I take your word for it. I do believe you, but you're predisposed to love you some Jackson West.
I am.
The good news for Jackson is that there will be opportunities abound in that tight end room. I mean, Kyle Morlock, yeah, that's one part of the issue or one part of the solution. But the issue is the second guy. Who is that going to be? And I know Mike Norvell listed a few players today that he liked in the tight end room. Brian Courtney, your favorite linebacker, was one of those. But Jackson West was mentioned there. And they were talking about, they might be able to help bring along a couple of guys like a Landon Thomas. But the opportunity is there. You need an inline tight end. You need somebody who can block. He did get an increased rep count as the season went on, and you could tell things weren't going so hot with Biscuit. We now know in retrospect because Biscuit entered the transfer portal 10 seconds after the snub. So you knew that in retrospect some things were problematic. They were giving Jackson reps, and it wasn't that impressive. It didn't look like he was ready. But if he is, there's a reason they brought him here. There's a reason Mike Norvell himself raved about Jackson West early on in his career. He said, I can't wait to see what Jackson West does. We didn't do that. Mike did that. So let's see if maybe in the end he's proven right about this guy because you're right. I heard it from a few people. He looked good today.
It's funny. I'm glad that other people said it because you're right. People know I've kind of rooted for that guy. I've been like, come on, Jackson West, you could do something. And then it got to be where he'd have a good practice, and then I'd be the one who would dismiss it because I was so mad that he had never lived up to the hype, and I dismissed him. I'd given up. I'd given up on Jackson West. I'd given him the tough love treatment and everything, and then people would practice and be like, oh, Jackson West having a couple, nice plays out here. That'd be my response. I don't care. He's a bum. He's never going to do a thing. And then, that's harsh. But that's the way tough love Cameron lives. And then, look, no doubt he got more time at the end of last year, but this is the first he's ever looked truly healthy. He was ready to go. Ready to go. Okay, Jackson, you've piqued my interest. Spring will be interesting to see if he's the guy that seizes the day of this second opportunity. Vendravius Jacobs was out there, L. Mitchell. I was happy about that. He always looks fast. He always looks good. Got to see whether he gets through spring doing the right thing. I don't doubt his ability. He's one of those guys, if Vendravius Jacobs left this program because, I don't know, he got angered by something, right? He just wasn't happy with the way things were working out. He's one of those guys where we all have a guy that you see the tools, you see the talent, and you go, oh, man, I know what's going to happen here. One of two things is going to happen here. That guy's going to announce he's going wherever, okay? And we're going to watch him when he arrives at said place, and he's going to have a 7-catch, 120-yard game, and we're going to go, damn it, I knew it. Or you're never going to hear about him again, and it's going to be the story of, oh, what could have been. If that kid could have just, it's going to be one of those two things, right? That's the way I would feel if somehow Vendravius Jacobs is not able to perform for Florida State, because it's all in there. And believe me, they would not I don't think people listen. We're not naive. We're not children here. We get it. Like, this is true from the highest levels of corporate America all the way down to just athletics or anything else. If you're talented, if you've got the goods, if you've got ability, whatever it is you do, if you have that and it's above and beyond the norm, you get second, third, fourth chances. You get opportunities to kind of make right if you misstep. And not everything is a gross misstep. I'm not talking about like something that would make you cringe. I'm just talking about if you just don't apply yourself, or you're not focused, or you don't, you're a little late to a meeting or something. Like, you get chances, especially if you're really talented. And Jacobs is a kid that I think is like that for them, where they see it, they know it's in there. And right now, the risk you have when you're a young player who's talented is that every recruiting cycle, coaches are recruiting over you. They have to. It's their job. They recruit over everybody, not just you, but they recruit over you. It gets easier for them to recruit over you and kind of ignore you as they stockpile players at your position. And think about what they've done, Tom, at that position with whom they've, with who they brought in. So you're in danger when you're first here and you're one of the more talented guys. You stand out and you get your chances. You get second, third, and fourth opportunities. As that position group gets deeper and more talented, hey, man, you're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. I'm not going to babysit you anymore, and I'm not really worried about whether you're going to do it, because I got this option, this option, this option, and this option. I didn't have it when I first brought you here. Now I got it. So fly right and get straight, or we're done. And I think this is why I'm going to be watching that very closely. I damn it, man, I want to see it.
It's an important spring and fall camp for him. It's an important spring and fall camp from somebody that I don't think his name has come up. This is what's nice when you have a deep roster full of talented people and individual stories that are compelling or they're going to be entertaining, because this is kind of it. The upcoming year, Julian Armella. We talked about him on the phone today.
He looked good today, buddy. He looked really good today.
He looks like he's hit the gym hard, my man.
Yeah. No, he's in shape. He's in shape, and he ran hard and he played hard today. He attacked the workouts. And why do I say that? I don't say that condescendingly. There are veteran players who we're wondering about, is this the last spring we ever see him? I mean, let's just be honest about that. There are veteran players out here that it is time, right? It is time. Let's go. And Armella is one of them. He might be the biggest name of the bunch that we talk about as, okay, all right, buddy, because it's in there. There are moments, but let's just say it. You got to stay off the ground in practice. You got to stay off the ground. There are way too many reps where Julian Armella gets manhandled. And then there are reps where Julian Armella looks like he is a surefire starter and can dominate. So he's a weird case study. And there were all these whispers about Armella as to whether or not he was going to stick around, whether he was disgruntled or frustrated or whatever it is. So I don't know how true all that is anymore with the way the transfer portal works. People are always leveraging things. I never know what to believe, and I don't mire myself or the show in these things unless it's like a 3-alarm fire, right? But you hear those whispers about an Armella, and I tell you why it's important then to see him come out and be in great shape, having gotten bigger and stronger and attack the workouts. That tells me he's committed. That tells me that he cares deeply. A guy who's hell-bent on riding out is not going to put himself through the paces in that way if he doesn't expect to put his best foot forward and have an opportunity to be a starter or a major contributor at the very least. It's just too hard. It's just too hard. What they're asked to do and the amount of sacrifice that it takes, you're not going to do if you're pussyfooting from a commitment standpoint. So it was great to see that. People wonder why we prattle on about guys. Sometimes there's a bigger picture. There's a deeper meaning. I get he's still got to perform in a game and be great. He's got to find a way to take that. But you're waiting on some of these guys to show you that they care as much as they have to care.
And the thing about him was towards the end of last regular season, he was front and center on everything, listening to Mike Norvell intently, participating. He was engaged, and I thought that was a good sign. Flew in the face of some of those whispers. You never know. I mean, you could be professional until the last day at your job. Like, you could do that, and that's, an NIL thing more than ever. It has been before, where it's like, I'm going to say all the right things, and then peace, I'm out of here. I never thought that was going to be the case with Julian Armella up to this year. Like, he's got a shot this year to be in the rotation. Now, they might have brought in too many dudes for him to be a starter, but he does look the part physically in a way that he hasn't before. He's consistently progressed. I think he's taken another step. The thing about him, that the reason we always talk about him is not because of the recruiting hype. There have been plenty of dudes that have been 4-stars that arrive on campus and you're like, not going to work out. Too bad. With him, his best reps, even as a true freshman, were notable reps against dudes that ended up being draft picks and are going to be draft picks. Last year, the same thing. His best reps, excellent. Has the mean streak, has the care on the field to defend his teammates, and if the O-line's getting bullied a little bit or he thinks it's out of order, he'll straighten it out. Like, I love all those things about him, but the bad reps are bad, and so you've got to eliminate the bad ones, and that's what this whole camp is going to be about. The fewer the bad reps for Julian, the higher, the sooner he can be what we think he can be, because the top end of what he does is plenty capable. And I just hope that he puts it together. It is a good start to see that he is engaged physically in Josh Storm's program in the offseason.
Yeah, the bad reps are him on his ass. I mean, that's what it turns out to be.
Indeed.
And so I need my man to stay off the ground and let's get it together. Hey, in a moment, we're going to solve the future with our very good friends at ISF. I'll tell you more about them momentarily. But first, attention, Florida. If you're a victim of an auto accident, we introduce our live chat sponsor, Hyson Legal Law Firm, dedicated to representing injured clients statewide. If you've been in an accident, call Hyson Legal Law Firm, 813-803-0733. That's a free consultation. Remember, there's no cost to you unless they win. Your interests come first with Hyson Legal Law Firm, the name you can trust for justice. Call 813-803-0733 now, or visit HysonLegalLawFirm.com. Hyson Legal Law Firm, your advocate in times of need. Offices, Tampa.
Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Whidden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Whidden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whidden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Whidden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
You know what happens when a smart group of medical professionals get together and commit to a technology designed to relieve your aching joints without surgery? It's called QC Kinetics.
And this guy knows the power of a solid team. Emmitt Smith, football legend and Dancing with the Stars champ.
This elite medical group, some of them orthopedic doctors, got together and said, why are we prescribing so many medications? Why are we sending so many people to surgery in droves? Let's change this.
The answer? Natural biologics, our own healing properties. And the outcome is the country's largest provider of non-surgical regenerative treatments, QC Kinetics.
Actually, the real outcome are the tens of thousands of patients who finally got their quality of life back without surgery, thanks to QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 850-391-4280. That's 850-391-4280. 850-391-4280.
You probably already know that Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas is your one-stop destination for all pool maintenance needs, offering everything you need from chemicals, cleaners, vacuums, nets, and more. But that's not all. Pinch a Penny also carries a huge selection of premium hot springs hot tubs paired with easy financing options, making these luxury hot tubs affordable for everyone. And if you have an older hot tub and you're worried about the hassle of removing it, worry no more. Pinch a Penny will not only remove and haul away your old hot tub, but also offer a trade-in value for a credit towards your new one. So why wait? Visit Pinch a Penny's 12,000 square foot showroom today on Greer Road and discover how effortless and affordable owning a fantastic hot tub can be. Find out more at TallahasseeHotSpring.com. That's TallahasseeHotSpring.com.
Your friendly neighborhood bar and grill just got a whole lot closer to home. You can now order delicious Smitty's Tap House and Grill for delivery directly to your doorstep. Just visit Smitty'sTapHouse.com. Click the Order Online button. and choose pickup or delivery. Enjoy Smitty's famous handmade pretzel with beer cheese, juicy pub burger, or even the amazing schnitzel sandwich delivered fresh right to your doorstep. Support local and order online today for takeout or delivery at smitty'staphouse.com, where everybody knows his name.
I'm Greg Tisch, here to share one of my favorite TCC stories. In the summer of 1966, Eugene Lamb wanted to stay in shape before leaving to play college basketball in Louisiana. So he jogged to Tallahassee from his home in Midway and helped lay the bricks for the first building on what's now the TCC campus on Appleyard Drive. Today, he is a longtime member of the TCC District Board of Trustees. It's no exaggeration when we say Trustee Lamb helped build TCC into what it is today.
TCC thanks our community for 58 years of support. We look forward to moving into the future together.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center.
Online.
They have been proud supporters of FSU for well over 19 years, but proud supporters of the Jeff Cameron Show in a variety of forms for some time now as well, and that's really, really cool. We appreciate that. Thank you, Zaxby's. Thanks for your delicious food and your 109 locations right here in the capital city. My goodness gracious, that's a lot of choice. Any part of the city you're in, you're good to go. Get some platters tomorrow, why don't you, huh? Get you some platters. Why don't you do it?
I think it's a fair bet. I'll be back in studio 3 Mondays from now. It's the 25th, I want to say it is, 25th.
Mm-hmm.
There might be some Zaxby's in the studio that day.
Boom.
Fair bet.
Good stuff. That is, as I mentioned, Golden Chief Booster Zaxby's for over 19 years. Doing the right thing, supporting the Jeff Cameron Show, supporting the Knowles. You should support the Zaxby's because Zaxby's supports the things you love. There you go. All right. Tom, you ready for this? You ready for our friends at ISF? You ready to ask, or we should, I say, ask you guys, ask away in the chat, in the High Salican Law Firm chat. Boy, here we go. We just bombard you. Ask away questions for us, for yours truly, for me and Tom, regarding solving the future, the new players, any player you want to ask about. Many of you have already. But now is the time as we've partnered with the ISF. Of course, ISF helps state governments solve the future through strategy, process, and technology. More efficient. Let's get these dreams realized. Let's help these clients. Let's advise, protect, advance their business and technology objectives. ISF can do that. So if you're working in state government and you hear me talking, reach out to our friends at ISF, isf.com. All right. Anybody we haven't talked about, would love to hear more about Malik Benson. Well, you know, it's one of the first guys that Mike Norvell brought up. One of the very first players that were brought up today by Mike Norvell was him. And I think there's a few guys. I'm not surprised. Tom, here's something interesting. What do you think about do you get a sense that all of the Bama guys are going to be a hit? Don't you just get a sense that maybe every one of the Bama guys are going to be a hit? Because you couldn't get there without meeting certain very strict criteria. And the first and foremost of those is just this elite athleticism you got to play. You got to have. You got to, to at least have shown to be recruited to go to a place like Alabama. And then number two, because that culture was ingrained, and I know Nick lamented it yesterday in the Chris Lowe interview. I know he said how frustrated he was when he came back after that game, after the loss to Michigan. But we know that by and large, what Nick had created was a machine of elite talent, but elite talent that did things a certain way or it didn't play. That's all there was to it, because they had guys behind guys behind guys behind guys for days that were 5-star kids. And also that kind of culture is what sustains winning over long periods of time. At some point, you're coming across teams that have the same sort of athleticism as you. But if you're going to win and have big years after big years, it's because there's a way that you do things and a methodology. And that's really what I'm referring to when I'm talking about these players that have come in specific to Alabama, I think, where they've all taken on leadership roles immediately. They've all been described as being vocal and ringleaders and can't keep them out of the gym. Like, that's what they come from. That's all they know.
Yeah, so there's a clip on the screen now for Warchant TV showing Malik run through a drill, and it's just so easy. It's just so he flies and glides. I think these guys, by and large, are going to work out. It's just a matter of, are they all going to be starters? To me, and I know that the second question that came in was from Stephen FG. He's asking, with Rodney Hill gone, who would I favor? Man, Roydell Williams looks larger than I thought he would. He looks larger than I thought he would. It's something else to see Roydell Williams. There's a photo from Gene put up on the screen right now.
Yeah.
People aren't going to want to tackle that dude. And this is somebody I think that was brought in principally because Rodney Hill's gone. I don't know that they go make this move. They had big plans for Rodney.
Yeah, Rodney blew it. Rodney blew it straight up.
When he played his way out, this is the guy they brought in. And, man, when you think about the size that we have at so many different positions, and if you can have a lead into that second half with those big offensive linemen and DJU and Roydell and Keziah and Cam as he gets up to speed, this is going to be a group that you're going to watch other teams give up. You're going to watch them say no mas, and I can't wait to see how much of a part of the equation Roydell Williams is. So it fits both parts. Like, what guy am I excited about? And yeah, to your point, I think these Alabama dudes might have something to them. They might be some good athletes here.
Yeah, rule of thumb, if you've got a chance to go grab players that Nick Saban was recruiting and that brought in that were 4 or 5-star players at the time, you do it. Do it. It's not unlike this new Georgia rule we have, Tom, where if you could get a player from Georgia, I'd do it. I think it would work out. I'd make a run at him. That's just me. I take my chances that I'll get him to fit my culture. Does Cam start by season's end? Tony wants to know. It's funny you bring it up because I'm not so sure because of Roydell, by the way. I'm not so sure. It's a freshman. It's a lot to ask. You know what that will be dependent on, Tony? Does he block in the passing game? Is he a complete back? Because I don't have any doubt that he's going to physically be ready to play and play a lot. He's just a big, gigantic kid. And he's low center of gravity. He's got great balance. He's all these things. As a runner, I don't have any questions about him. But I do think, I got to see all the other aspects of his game. It's hard to know. But I think they've got a lot going for him at running back. Let's just put it that way. They've got a lot going for him at running back. Any special teams concerns this early? Well, we won't know, but given what you have returning, both as a punter and as a kicker, you're loaded there, and you just added an influx of a ton of speed for the return game and guys that have done it before. I have zero concerns about special teams right now. In fact, I think it's going to be a strength for this football team yet again. I think it will be one of the better aspects of this team. So I believe it'll be very good. Is it possible Coach Norvell can rotate the trenches with even more frequency than last year due to depth? I suppose it is, and I know they're hell-bent on doing it. I don't always love it, but what I do love is if you're able to do it with a higher floor of talent. There were times last year, Tom, when we constantly rotated guys and didn't have your best 2 players off the edge on the field for important series. I would call myself critical of that. I don't think you should do that. I think it's a mistake to do that. Just because it did not bite them in the ass last year doesn't mean it wouldn't at some point against better talent. And maybe they wouldn't have done it if they were facing more consistently good teams on offense. But now if you do it, you might have the requisite depth to do that rotation and not see a significant drop off.
Yeah, I think they were making a calculation on just getting to the finish line with as the bumps and there were more bumps and bruises as the season went along, and they wanted to be able to finish strong, and they did. Like, so if you get through the week 7 hump, or the Duke game or whenever that occurred, or some of the other critical moments in the schedule, and you were able to get past and win the game, your payoff and your reward is how fresh they looked against Florida and how fresh they looked against Louisville. So in the end, the risk happened in October. It didn't happen in November and December. That's when the payoff came. I just wish that we got to see even more of a payoff, because I don't think they would have rotated nearly as openly with Michigan or Alabama or whoever they would have drawn in the Invitational. I think they'd be like, this is our game. Jared, I need you for 70 snaps.
Yeah. 70. You're going to have to be a man. Yeah.
The only reason you won't play 70 snaps is if we control the ball and we dominate, and you don't need to be out there because we're either up big or we just have the ball. There's only 50 to get, so we'll give you 50 then. But if there, however many snaps it takes. But I do think on the offensive line, there's more opportunity there as well, provided 2 things happen. Number 1, Robert Scott's truly healthy. We'll see. Number 2, Lucas Simmons gets up to speed. If you bring in those 2 players and you add them to the fold, because Robert wasn't a part of the fold last year. He just wasn't. He wasn't available. You have enough tackle depth now with them and Darius and Byers. You have a bunch of dudes on the interior. I think Armella profiles more to the interior. You could be looking at 9 guys that you could rotate. Maybe another one if a younger player steps up. They might have more opportunity to rotate on the O-line. And that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, because last year, and there was a lot of necessity out of that 8 that they thought they had.
I think
not a lot of rotation because they wanted to.
Yeah, I think it's important only if it's by choice. I just give me my best 5, and I'm not a fan of rotating offensive linemen. There are specific types of guys that you can, in short yardage situations, things that of that ilk, that's fine. But you've got better competition there. That's what I look at that depth as being. Like, if you got 9 guys fighting for 5, okay, good. Let's see if that competition is elevated. Yes, it's nice to have the luxury of being able to do it if a guy misses a game. You got another guy that you feel like he's really right there with them. That's true. I'm not a fan of rotating that many guys on the offensive line. We'll see if they do it. L. Mitchell asks, has Boots gained any weight, or is it still a ways to go for him? You're talking about Lamont Green Jr. Yes, he's gained weight. He's gained weight. I don't know that he's going to be, as of right now, anything more than a third and obvious. Don't you think? I mean, that's my assessment of where he's still got to gain some weight. Still got to keep getting bigger.
That might be something you need, though. And I've been impressed. He wasn't available last year. I found that out the hard way at the kickoff. I said, "How's Lamont looking?" And Jared was like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh, no, that's not a good sign." He's staying involved, I think, is what Jared Verse said. I'm like, "Oh, code message accepted, message received. He's not available." I think he was a high-profile recruit for a reason, though. And as he gets more into the weight room, I think he's large enough to be a pass rush specialist if you need it, but you might not, because you brought in a bunch of dudes who are pretty good at it. So we'll see. But yes, I thought from the limited things that I could see in his drills today, it looked like he put on some significant weight in his lower body, which is what he needed.
Noel fan writes, over under 7 sacks for Peyton this year. Over, easy, not close. Next question. Tony, you've talked about Jalen Lucas on the wrap. Do you see him more than I hope so. Get him some touches in space beyond kick and punt return. I talked about him today because of the suddenness. It is a wow factor. He is really, blazingly fast and sudden. It is, whoo, look at that. It's that kind of, my goodness. That is exciting. I didn't watch much Indiana football a year ago. Forgive me. In fact, I didn't see a single game that Indiana played last year in football. I choose to ignore Indiana football as much as I possibly can. But I saw his highlight reel, and then I wondered, what is Indiana doing not getting that kid on the field in like every other way imaginable? You're Indiana.
So, okay, you got to put the pads on and prove it there. We have highlights of him in special team situations at Indiana, but it did seem like he could make a guy miss. Like, it wasn't just straight ahead speed. You'd have to run the 9 in a situation for him where it's a total gadget. You know he's on the field. You know he can only do one thing. does kind of look like a guy you could put in a bubble situation, and if you get a block, then he's a house call. Like, did you see that, or did you think he was more limited and he needs to be kind of more of a straight ahead guy?
No, today wasn't a good day for that. I thought he moved exceptionally well, vertically, laterally. He looked great. He did everything as well as you needed to be today. He just looked like a very good athlete. Pads will matter. Exactly right. He's a small guy. I mean, he's a short, compact little guy. I don't want to say small as in he's not muscular. He is, of course, at this level. They're all muscular guys, but yeah, I know he doesn't weigh a lot. So I know the wear and tear of being an every down guy is not in his future, but golly, he could be more than a special teams guy. So I believe that. Nicely done, live spectator. Gee, why didn't he want to stick around and play for Signetti? Now I'm going to watch Indiana football. Good old Signetti. Pinky ring Signetti. My man. Cigarette hanging out of his mouth. A really bad scotch in his glass. Hey, ladies. How are you?
So what, doers on the rocks?
Yeah. Some sorry-ass scotch like that. And he thinks he's cool. He thinks he knows it. And you're like, no, man, that's not it.
So can I ask you a question? Can I
Sure.
play the role of chat? You didn't talk too much about DJU today. It's not a quarterback's day. The
Not
Tour
at all.
City is not a quarterback's day.
No.
Any initial impressions? I mean, obviously he's a large man.
That's my initial impression. He's just a big dude. He's just a really big dude. He's not fast. Big dudes usually aren't. He doesn't have great foot speed. But I mean, that's not even fair because that's a knock. But I mean, he's a 255-pound dude. What he is if you are in man and you turn your back to him and we need a few yards and he gets ahead of steam, God, I wouldn't want to tackle that. I mean, he's a big, big dude. But, he didn't throw today. I didn't see. What are you going to do? Yeah, there's no way to assess him today. That's the hard part. I was just kind of like, I know everybody wants to see him. I know why we shot the video of him. Everybody out there with a camera, first guy that they videotaped was that dude. And I thought of all the days to video guys, I know, I get it. People just want to see him, but this is not his day.
But you did mention to me that Kromenhoek looked the size. He looked the size of college football as a true freshman.
Big dude. Kromenhoek was more impressive because he's a better athlete. He's a big, strong dude, 6'4", they say 205. I think that's what he was in high school. He's got to be bigger than that. He's a big dude. Yeah, that part was impressive. Like the requisite thickness, like if you had to play him for some reason and he was going to get hit, you could do it. I wouldn't be like, oh, no. Remember when we first saw Tate Rodemaker? Like, oh, that guy's going to die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the game and get him hit, he's going to. Yeah, but that's not that way with Kromenhoek. No,
or Chubba. I mean, and that's what happened to him. But to look at him, before that happened in interviews, like, man, I don't know. They turned him live though. Okay, that certainly was a decision. But I'm glad I'm glad to hear that about Luke because that means he can grow into the frame even more if he's already that large. As
he won't.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Tom, he won't leave here without being a pound under 235. He's a big kid. Just a big base, big thick legs, big strong kid, tall, 6'4". He'll be fine. He'll have the size necessary to play if you needed to right now. They won't need to play him this year, thankfully. Thanks to our friends at ISF. Talk about their expertise and their collaboration with us on the Jeff Cameron Show on the regular. But it's important that you pair somebody with your vision and their expertise, and they can take care of your brilliant ideas and make sure it happens. ISF.com, Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Local news now.
A Florida A&M student is facing felony charges after being accused of serving as a getaway driver for 2 ATM break-ins in January and February. More than $100,000 was taken from each machine. The first ATM was hit early in the morning on Sunday, January 14th. None of the suspects were immediately identified. A second ATM was hit less than a month later on Sunday, February 11th. Suspects used chains attached to a stolen truck to pull the safe door off the ATM. The second theft came just a few weeks later, and the same type of tools were were used in both robberies. Kendall Haggerty, of 19 years old from Houston, Texas, is now charged in connection to the two incidents. Text messages were found in Haggerty's phone that indicated she had been discussing hiding cash with her boyfriend, along with several other photos and videos involving the cash. As of now, Haggerty's arrest is the only one that has been made. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon. Daytime highs approaching 79. Winds out of the northeast around 5 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies again tonight. Lows level off around 56. Daytime highs approaching 79 tomorrow. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 79.
Your heating and air conditioning system doesn't check with you before it takes a break. That's why we're always ready to help. Any day, anytime, anywhere. And with our annual service agreement, there are no overtime charges. Ever. At Verno Heating and Air, we will always be there for you.
Verno Heating and Air Conditioning.
License CAC 1816-186.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu. Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center.
Yes, it would be great to roll over to Hauser and do some good things. But yeah, to answer your question, if you're in the number 8, if you're wearing orange, you screwed up. So when you see kids in the orange jersey, they're in the doghouse. They did something wrong. May not be the end of the world, but it could also be that message is being sent. Can't be late. Can't skip things, can't talk back to coaches in a certain manner, whatever it might be, you get slapped with the orange.
The hierarchy of the jerseys looks to be a little bit different since the change. Time was, in last year's Tour of Duty and before that, that the black uniform with the garnet helmet was like the top, the pinnacle. Doesn't look like it's that way anymore because the black uniforms that some of the kids are wearing are the scout team uniforms, and the nicest ones that we saw several defensive players wearing specifically are the white uniforms with the name on the back and the fully patched numbers, not the practice ones. So I don't know.
That on, yeah.
That's correct. Yeah, he did. And I don't know what the hierarchy is anymore because the black uniforms are out of circulation. But my guess is that the nicer the quality of the uniform, the better that you're doing. That'd be my guess.
But I do know if you're wearing an orange jersey, you're not doing well.
That remains at the bottom. Those, I believe we call that the caste system. So that would be the untouchables. The untouchables are on the orange. Yeah.
Yeah, they have you akin to Miami or Florida, which nobody wants to be. There's that. There's all of that. So, good times. we'll have to do this. I had an interesting thought yesterday. I'll call my own thought. Very interesting. It was very interesting. I intrigued myself as I was driving along, and I thought, that is interesting, Cameron. Sometimes you amaze me. But you and I will talk about it tomorrow on the show. And it's going to be a little bit about the winding down of our time in the ACC and where we're going and what that's going to look like. And I'm excited about it. I've had this. Remember how I've told you in the past that I thought there was probably just as much likelihood, despite our great animosity towards the SEC, but that it seemed to me it was even more likely, regardless of how we feel about them and the way things panned out, that we ended up in the SEC and not the Big Ten, the way so many people had talked about. And now I've changed my mind on that, Tom.
Oh, not you too. No, I don't like this. I do not like this development.
Why not? Why?
For the financial good of the city of Tallahassee, which I care very deeply about. I want all sports to drive people to that. I want more RVs in Tallahassee for sporting events than we can hold. I want that to be a crisis of parking spaces.
Well, I mean, I may not be right, but I think I might be. I might be. But I'll also say this. I thought more about how we're not that far away from flying over to Ireland for the game against Georgia Tech, which I, again, think will be a little bit better of a game than people realize. And then number two, how uncomfortable it's going to be if ESPN is hell-bent on sending game day there. I really think they ought not do that. They ought not do that. They ought not send game day there. I think it's a potential really ugly situation. I was thinking about the fact that it will have been 8+ months for people to stew on that ultimate screw job and the fix. And then also this idea that like you're going to have Kirk Herbstreit amongst the people. It's not, even if you controlled, like, because ESPN will counter and say, well, it's the signs, guys. I mean, we're not worried about the signs. We can control it. No, it's not the signs. It's the chants. The chants at the top of their lungs, fueled by alcohol all throughout the day.
And the week.
And these are people that will, I mean, this is like the hardcore fan that is rolling over there that feels aggrieved and very angry. And rightfully so. And man, this will be the first time, and it comes in game one, that you have a chance to express directly to the culprit of the screw job how you feel. That unless they're going to do game day inside of Aviva Stadium where no fans can be at the time that they do the show, this is not going to go well. This is going to be an ugly, ugly, ugly situation. The F Kirk Herbstreit chant will echo through Dublin. Whether he's there or not, those chants are going to echo through Dublin. But if you send them, that's not good. They shouldn't go. They shouldn't be there.
Maybe we can share with the people that we were on a meeting not too long ago with some people who are helping the grand scheme of the event, and they wanted to be educated on what's going on with ESPN and the Knowles, because a lot of them are Irish. Like, so very Jerry Seinfeld. So what's the deal with you guys and ESPN over there? And who was the one that explained the situation?
Me.
That's right. You did. Oh, I'll take this one.
Well, I've gotten to know that guy, and he's great. And I love the fine folks that we've worked with. And I've had a chance to go visit personally and eat dinner with and have long conversations with. And I can't wait to see them again. They came into Tallahassee during the course of the year. But I think they really got a raw deal in a weird way, because obviously they need ESPN. It's a 8.5 month or a year-long infomercial, and then the game is just an infomercial for travel to Ireland. So they needed them, but then they found out that, that was the group that screwed us, and they know it's going to be ugly.
I just, I get that the vitriol will take over, and we're going to have to play the role at that point of don't be stupid. Like there's one rule in life. Our mutual friend Mike, he raised his child on one. Don't be stupid. There's one rule in this house. Just don't be stupid. I would just much prefer if they show up there and they're in centers, of the town, that none of us go. That there's like 12 Georgia Tech fans there and Buzz. And that's it. You got Buzz, 12 Georgia Tech fans, and people turn it on and say, boy, there's no atmosphere out there. And then they turn on Warchant TV and they see scores of people and they can't even hear us talk. We can't hear ourselves think. It's not for Warchant TV's purposes. I think it would be more meaningful than shouting down and being a part of the Jerry Springer audience than to just not show up at all. Don't be there.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I can see how this is going to play. It's just not going to play well. And I'm surprised, frankly. This is a more serious discussion than we usually have at the end of the show, but I'm still surprised that there hasn't been some reconsideration. And maybe there is. I don't really see how that's going to work out. What they perpetrated was abhorrent, and it bastardized the integrity of the game at our expense. And the face of that and the ringleader of that has handled the criticisms that he's received from it very, very poorly. He's had very thin skin.
Like a 12-year-old Dear Diary.
And he's gone on Twitter diatribes like a little girl mad, and it's been embarrassing for him and his company, and it's just not going to play well. And on that note, I hope you all have a lovely Thursday. Good work out of you, Tom. Good work, Director. We'll talk to you later. Peace.